It's time now for the big issue. Good morning to you, and thank you for joining us on TV3 New Day. You can watch us on DSTV channel 279. We're also streaming live on Facebook at TV3 Ghana. In fact, you can watch us live on Twitter as well on the TV3 Ghana page. Before I introduce my guest, let me introduce you to the Soft Life. And so from now till the 15th of December 2022, if you book for a stay, whether it's one night or whatever at the Maha Beach Resort, in fact, for one night, you can get the second night for free in a standard room with free airport pickups on weekends. And so it will cost you just 4,200 Ghana cedis if there's two of you, and 2,750 Ghana cedis for one person. And this package will include breakfast, lunch, and dinner, free airports pickup from Friday to Sunday. But remember, terms and conditions apply. 10% discount on spa services, free upgrade from standard room to standard sea view room from Monday to Thursday, and that's also subject to availability. You can get to catch a movie at the cinema. You can swim, play pool, you can play snooker, volleyball, use the gym. And remember that you can upgrade your room, but that's also available upon request at a fee. Terms and conditions apply. So please call them now on 050-157-0684 or 030-3977-773 for more details and reservations, and also call them, well, email them at sm@mahatresort.com/reservations at Mahat Resort. So that's it. Get in touch with them and enjoy your December. Joining me in the studios this morning, I have Mr. Bernard Mona. He's a former chairman of the People's National Convention, and he's here with us. Good morning. How are you doing?
Not so good. We were supposed to be picketing today, tomorrow, and tomorrow next.
Yeah.
But the court thought otherwise, that we should go and picket at the Independence Square.
Yeah.
And then we said no. We never proposed that we wanted to have our picketing at the Independence Square.
Okay.
So we will not do it. We have instructed our lawyers. One of them is here to file the necessary processes to appeal that the location of a demonstration is as important as the message we want to send.
Okay.
And anytime the courts are used to shift people away from what they want to do, it means that they are playing to the interests of the state, and that is not what we wanted to do. So this morning we are not excited, but we have to respect the ruling of the court.
Yeah.
Just that we say that since we never requested to use the Black Star Square, we are unable to use it.
So the date wasn't changed, it was just the venue?
It was the venue.
It was the venue. Yeah. And what are you demonstrating on?
Of course, about the economic hardship.
Okay.
And then the insulting and arrogant posture of government towards citizens.
Okay. Well, I don't know what Kofi Tonto would have to say about the reason behind this demonstration, but he joins us in the studio. He's a member of government's communications team. Good morning. How are you doing?
Very well, yourself?
I'm good, thank you very much. Are you aware of this intended demonstration?
No, I'm not.
Oh, you're not aware of it?
I'm just hearing it for the first time. I mean, as the president rightfully said, Bernard is a professional when it comes to demonstration. So you can bet that every other week he will organize a demonstration. But that's his constitutional right. It's okay for him to do that. But what I find extremely surprising is his subtle attempt to attack the judiciary this morning. I think it's very unfortunate. There have been instances where the decisions of the courts have been in his favor. You know, Aduji is here, he's a lawyer. I don't think he will agree with the attacks on the judiciary this morning. It's okay for Bernard to be disappointed, but to create the impression that the judiciary is doing the bidding of the presidency is quite unfortunate, and I don't think we should encourage it.
But what about the concern, which is why they intended to embark on this demonstration, that the posturing of government has not been that of, you know, humble people who are supposed to be serving the nation, but rather more of arrogance, and also the fact that the economy is not doing too well?
I mean, I don't think the issues of the economy is in dispute. I think the president has acknowledged it, we've all acknowledged it, and we are making every effort to ameliorate the issue. As far as posturing, I'm also surprised because the president. Oh, of course.
But he's not the first person to make this statement about the posturing.
Yeah, I mean, Aduji and his team and other people will say it. Bernard will say it. But anyone who's objective and is willing to really pay attention to the details will agree that the president is not arrogant or the government is not arrogant. We are a listening government.
Nobody is. You're a listening government.
Of course, of course.
You've been listening to the concerns of Ghanaians?
I think we often misconstrue the people saying one thing and the government sometimes disagreeing as not listening. I don't think listening is always agreeing.
Okay.
You know, you can listen and disagree as well.
Okay.
And there are instances where the government listened and disagreed, and the evidence or posterity was very kind to the government. So I don't think listening necessarily means agreeing all the time. Okay. Let's not create that impression. We are a listening government. We may disagree, and rightfully so. The Constitution allows us to disagree. Okay. And I don't think disagreeing constitutes not listening. Yes.
Lawyer Didi Tamaklo is a member of the legal team for the NDC as well. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well, except to say the incompetent management of the economy is having a toll on everyone. There's no exemption. In the past, you will notice that things may be hard, some segments of the people may be exempted, but the level of incompetence, the arrogant posturing of government appointees, the naked corruption, and the regrettable negotiation of appearance fees has brought all of us to the point where now it's becoming extremely difficult.
But why appearance fees? If you're referring to what ensued yesterday, well, we've heard from the Vice President, and he says that those allegations are totally false.
You were expecting him to say that those fees were negotiated for him.
But he says...
The $200,000.
He says, and I'll state what he says. I would like to state that if what the minister is alleged to have said is accurately captured in the video, then his position as Minister of State is untenable. I am not aware of any such meeting held by the Minister Boahen or a supposed appearance fee. My most cherished asset in life... sorry, I just lost that. My most cherished asset in life is my integrity. And I'll not allow anyone to use my name to engage in corrupt activities.
What integrity? That's like, have you read William Shakespeare's Julius Caesar? Mark Antony, referring to Brutus as noble Brutus. You associate integrity with Baumia.
Shouldn't you?
Please, listen. Where we are now, look, this country is in a deep crisis. We are trying to get ourselves out of the crisis situation. He should not compound where he had brought us. Look, first of all, in the management of the economy, as the chair of the economic management team, he had not demonstrated fidelity to the very promises that he's made to the people of this country. That's integrity.
Like what? This
is a vice president, whilst in opposition, sounded so lyrical on how to manage an economy. What is his scorecard? At the time he took over as the vice president of the Republic of Ghana, and by convention, the chair of the economic management team, we were trading $1 for how much?
6 cities, 40 pesos or so.
No. In fact, it was 4.5 cedis to get $1 at that time. A whole gallon of petrol, you get it for 14 cedis, 50 pesos, the whole gallon. Today, a liter, what we used to call in the village, beer bottle of petrol, okay? It will take you 17 cedis. So, the cost of a whole gallon in 2016 it's even less than the liter today. And you call integrity? Look, this man had brought untold hardship. Look, you see, it's unfortunate our part of the world. Integrity does not matter to we politicians. If it does, Baumia will humbly say, look, I'm resigning as the chair of the economic mismanagement team.
Economic management
Sorry.
team.
Would you
Yeah,
want?
we mischievous this
Bella,
morning.
is this supposed to
Economic
be
management team.
okay,
Don't
so
worry.
be a good
It's
morning
tying
or-
into tying into the conversation we're
yes.
having anyway. So
So-
that's why I'm
So,
allowing him
so,
to speak.
so
I'll come to you.
the point I'm making is that if our vice president
So take the
has
point.
any appreciation of integrity, he will even resign as the chair of the economic mismanagement team. And the reason why I make
Economic
this point is that, you see, Bella, when people put their trust and confidence that your coming will herald a certain respite for them and that things will be better, and you don't deliver on it, you demonstrate humility by saying that, you know what, this is not your expectation. I've not been able to meet it. I am stepping aside. Mr. President, reconstitute this team. Get somebody else to lead this team. The NPP gave us benchmarks. They said anybody that leads this country into IMF is incompetent. Correct.
Yeah.
And Baumia, at the Central University, the Distinguished Lecturer Series, made it clear that you cannot lead a country to the IMF and still be boastful. Baumia actually told us that economic crisis or exogenous factors, okay, cannot leave Ivory Coast and come to Ghana. And that if anything at all, it should have impact all over. What is his narrative today?
Okay.
Quadruple whammy or whatever. So I am telling you that this is a man who has no fidelity from the things that come from his mouth.
But let's separate that then from the allegations that have been made in
No,
that
it's
video.
dovetail.
How does it dovetail?
No, the man-
Because
the man-
it's
the man-
totally different.
No, you
Appearance
see-
fees allegations
Okay,
are
so
totally
so
different
so
from
let's look at
his management of the economy.
Possibly we can start from here. Let's look at this specific allegation. Charles Boahen, the Charles that I know, is closer to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia than you. Fact.
I'm nowhere close to the vice
Exactly.
president.
Exactly.
I don't remember when the
You
last
see,
time I met him anyway.
the accounts have a saying. You see, Bobo Chichi Efinsium. That's what they say. When the crocodile or something comes and give a narrative as to what is happening in the river, how dare you, mere mortal, who is outside, challenge that conversation? Look, Mr. Charles Boahen was not under duress. He spoke freely willy. He didn't only say that Bawumia would take $200,000 for whatever it's worth. He said, the man at this moment has campaign issues. And therefore, it is, I mean, once you meet him and you make available $200,000, it should be good to go. Remember that the conversation of appearance fee or gate fee did not start today.
Okay.
I have listened to Ken Ejiofor directly accuse officials at the presidency that if you needed to see the president, they were charging $20,000 at that time. These were the middle level officers.
But that's his statement. Has it been substantiated?
No, the point is, you see, these are MPP persons. If this conversation had come from an NDC official, I would have said, you know, maybe political. First of all, Charles Boahen has no adverse or ill will towards Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Charles Boahen is not in any competition with Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. The man is speaking out of free will. That look, and he didn't know that, quote unquote, he had been entrapped. This is something.
So he has been entrapped. So he was right in his that statement that came on his Facebook
Obviously,
page that
from
this
what
was
has happened now.
an entrapment attempt?
No, from what has happened now, from the full fact, that's obviously the modus operandi of Anas Arimia Anas, of which the president had also demonstrated that he's willing to adopt the Anas principle, right, for the purposes of ensuring that he fights corruption. So this is a principle that Mr. Akufo-Addo has endorsed, that it is good. I am not a student of entrapment. But Mr. President says the Anas principle is one of the principles that he will use to fight, crime. And this is your minister, one of the most ranked ministers. Finance is no joke. This is a young man that the president has elevated from deputy minister to the status of minister of state in charge of the finance ministry. This is not an ordinary person. Two, he's not an NDC person that you say he's motivated by partisanship to want to lie about His Excellency. There are issues about the Excellency's family members and what needs to be done for them. These are matters that if you are not close to the VIP, you will know.
But could it be that he was just speaking out of excitement and not necessarily saying? If you've seen the video, you'd understand.
There were specific questions that this investor was putting to him. That clearly shows that he set out to do A, B, C, D. Just first of all, it's not a man that you say, okay, some poor, quote-unquote, young man there. This is an investment banker, having worked in South Africa, Harvard trained, what? The son of one-time presidential candidate of this country, of which Akufo-Addo was his campaign manager. Yeah. This is not some ordinary person. This is a person with his faculties clearly out there. And so to suggest that Charles Boahen will set out to lie about Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is far-fetched.
But clearly the vice president says that for the minister to make such a statement, then his position at this point should not even be held.
The attitude of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is well explained by human nature. A cursory visit to the Garden of Eden will demonstrate that Bawumia's conduct is not unknown to human nature. When Eve, freely willy, tasted the forbidden fruit and God confronted her, what did he say? He said, it's a snake. That is not me.
Okay.
You understand? So this thing is part of human nature. At this point, you don't expect Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia to adopt whatever has happened.
So you don't believe his statement?
No. It should be
that he's got nothing to do with it.
In fact, that statement, we are getting to note, that this announced investigation happened somewhere in 2018, 2019, correct?
Yes, per Charles Boahen's Facebook post.
Fantastic.
Yes.
So the president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has all this while been aware.
We can't say that for a fact.
No, please. You see,
we can't say that for a fact.
Look,
we need to establish when he saw the video.
No, the president has been aware. We are friends. The president has been aware of this and reappointed him. This is just...
You are saying the president saw this video back in what, 2018?
May, long time ago.
When exactly did he see this?
Read the subsequent follow-up conversation by Mr. Kweku Baako in a Facebook interaction with one Charles Tetego. Go back and read that trend.
Do you have it here to read to us?
Yes.
Okay. If you can read it to us, because I don't know how we're linking this to the president being aware of this back in 2018.
Look, I just want
to reappoint him. Otherwise, then why did the president now, the statements from the president, relieve him of his duties as minister?
I just want to demonstrate to you the hypocrisy. Our president thinks that he can be smart, and all of us are dumb. And if you read Mr. Baako's interaction with this gentleman who happens to be a presidential staff, I just want to...
Producer, if you can pull it up as well, if it's possible.
This is what Mr. Baako says.
Okay.
In response to a young man called Kwejo Yeboah Jan, this is what he says. Find out what happened within the 4 years period, which may have delayed things. Did somebody steal some of the records, sold them to somebody? Question mark. Did the lead investigator die unnatural death? And how did these things impact the capacity of the original investigators? He doesn't end it there. Look,
and this is related to this particular...
Yes. This was because this young man I'm calling Charles Nitik had accused Kweku Baako and Anas on his Facebook post. So Kweku was now forced, Mr. Baako, was now forced to respond. And he said that the lead investigator died unnatural death. Who is this lead? Ahmed Swale. Why was he killed? Was it to cover up? What is it that anybody was willing to cover up about the announced the investigation done by Ahmed Swali? These are the issues. So throw this statement by the Vice President into the dustbin.
Okay.
Please.
Okay. Well, point noted. But what do you think, Bernard Mona? Because at this point, per the statement, the President says that we have relieved Charles Adu Boahen of his duties. But if you look at Charles Adu Boahen's post as well, he had said that he did not want to interfere with, investigations, and so he was willing to step aside to allow that to take place. So now the confusion is, at what point did Charles Adu Boahen resign? And was it before he was relieved of his duties by the President, before that statement came out, or after? Which is which? What are you thinking?
Let me say good morning to my colleagues on the panel and to yourself, and to tell Tonto that if there was anybody that I admired in this country, and probably globally, for leading demonstrations, that is President Akufo-Addo.
I thought you would let that go.
No, I will not let it go. The title of who is Demonstration King Kong can never be taken away from President Akufo-Addo. And indeed, he even demonstrated at the time guns were blazing. He did not only demonstrate, he demonstrated in Copenhagen, he demonstrated in many other places against President Rawlings, President Mills, and many others. So for you to come and sit here and pontificate that President said, I demonstrate, it's just saying that President is admiring the fact that his own is taken after him. So if there's anybody
That's what you're deducing from.
If there is anybody to give applause to for demonstrating, and it is on the CV of the President when he first submitted his credentials to.
Why are you so pressed?
I'm not. How can I be pressed when you are the one who have just spoken?
I was just admiring your skills.
But I'm just telling you that admire President Akufo-Addo. Why are you admiring me?
Of course, I admire
President
you.
Akufo-Addo
You are sitting next to me.
No, admire President
With your barrette.
Akufo-Addo
So I'm
for the fact that I'm
your
taking
skills.
after him, and you should not be tense
that's
about that.
Excellent.
You understand? Secondly, that people disagree with court rulings cannot be Bernard Mona who is starting it. And I have said here that I respect the decision of the court, just that I disagree. And that one too, you are perspiring about that one. See,
Bernard, you were categorical.
when you were
Said
speaking,
that-
when you were
Can we
speaking,
move on?
when you were
This one has
speaking,
been
influenced.
when you were speaking, did I not keep quiet?
Okay.
I was feeling what you were telling me, but I kept quiet.
Okay, sure.
So if you are feeling it,
Sure.
manage it.
Okay. Bernard, make it brief so we can go into
No, I'm done with that.
Okay, great.
You are asking me whether Charles Adu Boahen has been sacked or he resigned. Bottom line is that he's no more at the ministry. A position that was really useless.
How was it useless?
Minister for State at the Ministry of Finance. When we have a minister, we have 2 deputy ministers, we have all the directors. A very useless avenue for siphoning state resources. Nothing whatsoever warranted the creation of that minister. To elevate a deputy minister then to a minister of state. It remains a very useless position, but of course, job for the boys.
How
And
can you
in
say
the words, and in the words of Charles Adu Boahen, that why he is the son of the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party in 1992, that Akufo-Addo was the campaign manager. And you can link it that why he had the favor of the president and therefore it was job for the boys. It is not because of his merit and then that ministry or that position had anything whatsoever to contribute to the economic advancement of
And yet he was passed at the appointments committee to assume position
well,
as
if
Minister
I listen to the minority leader,
State in charge of finance?
they made their case. I listened to the minority leader, and the minority leader said, we made our case. But look at the circumstances under which Charles Adu Boahen was elevated to Minister for State. Was it not at the time Ken Ofori-Atta was not available to be vetted as minister? Was it not at the same time that the majority leader was made to read the budget statement? And therefore, they needed somebody at the at the Ministry of Finance to oversee things before Ken Ofori-Atta could return from his...
But there were deputies as well. So
Well, they could not have appointed deputies when there was no minister. You know that as a fact. And so Charles Adu Boahen had to go there And once Ken Ofori-Atta came and he had to take what belongs to him, take note, take what belongs to him, because Akufo-Addo has made it a point that the Ministry of Finance belongs to him and his brother. And therefore, Ken Ofori-Atta, no matter his level of infirmity, will need to recover to come and take what belongs to him. So that is what took place. So obviously, I don't think that position was of any significance to overcoming the economic difficulties that we have in this country. Okay. But that said, Bella, how many times have we not seen this? Many a times when they say they are going to sack somebody, the person simply put in and say that I have resigned. Was Charles Edu Boahen resigning when the entire majority caucus in Parliament had called for his head? Was he resigning for investigations to take place on the allegations that were made against him by the majority caucus? No. It is because he was taking $1 million out of 5 million.
Of which 5 million?
Oh, why? The investor was bringing $5 million. $500 million.
Yes, and he said 20%. He was going to take 20% of that.
20%.
That's 100 million.
That's 100 million.
Yes.
Sorry. Thanks for reminding me.
You've reduced the number.
I've reduced it significantly. That is unacceptable. He was taking 20%. That is $100 million of 500 million. Do you understand that? Mm-hmm. And he says that, Vice President has his issues. And I agree with Eduji.
Because he's your lawyer?
Oh, no. You know that I have disagreed with
if you disagree, I will take legal fees.
So you're working for him pro bono at the moment, eh? So that's why you agree with him.
Oh, no.
You don't want to start paying.
You know that I have disagreed with many of my lawyers. In fact, there are instances I've even told my lawyers that, look, on this matter, I don't even want you to come in. Ediji knows that very well, that
You're always fighting, actually.
I never acquiesce to some of the decisions they take as lawyers.
Carry on, by the way.
And so, obviously, this is a man that says that, look, the Vice President has family issues. I didn't know that. I didn't know that my Vice President had any family issues. And that to be able to settle that, you need to sort him out with cash.
It's like dowry in a marriage.
You know, you need to sort him out with cash. And it says that...
So that they can get the contract, they can facilitate the contract.
I said that to meet the Vice President, when we go 200,000, I didn't know that my Vice President could be that cheap.
What do you mean by that cheap? He's come out to say that
I'm saying that I didn't know.
It's not even true.
Let me tell you, we don't expect the Vice President to come and say it's true. Why? We were in this country where businessmen who wanted to go and have a meeting with the president, cash for seats.
100,000.
They were paying 100,000. How proximate you sat by the president? What became of those investigations? They were thrown away. They said that why the minister did no wrong. We sat here. Kennedy Ajapong said that, look, in order to get into Jubilee House, people took money. And he brought investors, and those investors had to pay
20,000
before they could see, just to see the president, whether what they were even taking to the presidency was going to be agreed or not. These are not feeble persons within our society. And Charles Edu Boahen, after establishing his credentials before the sheikh, a supposed sheikh, really, establishing his credentials and how close he is to the president, and how the president doesn't take him for a kid, because the president campaigned for his father. And if things had gone well, his father would have been president in 1992. So he was very close to the president. But at that time, it was only prudent that we pass through the vice president because he is in charge. All attempts to even convince the investor to move away from coming to do galamsey and to invest in government bonds did not attract the investor. That is the man. How long did Anas advertise that he was going to do this expose? How long? The galamsey economy.
It's been about 2-3 weeks or so.
Okay. You want to say that before Anas advertised that he was going to do this, assets were not shown to the president?
Do you know for sure if they were?
Why not? If assets were not shown to the president, then we'll say that assets could not have been shown to the president. Because in the number 12, assets were shown to the president. He got to leave it. And I was even worried that how, Mr. President, the thing was not even yet shown, and you came out to issue a statement. You remember? And so if it was not shown, one was expecting that they would have waited. The presidency would have waited, the vice president would have waited, so that after the expose, then they could come out with the kind of statements that they are making. But they made these statements prior to the expose.
And so then could this be the reason why in this case maybe they did not show it to the president necessarily, which is why
No, they showed to the president. So how did the president get to know that the man was at fault? How did the vice president get to know?
No, but by yesterday, I mean, the transcription was already out.
I'm saying that. How did the vice president get to know? Because you want to see the full extent of the documentary before you can make a statement.
If you read a transcript, if you read it, it says that they reached out to the spokesperson of the vice president to find out from him if it's true that he actually takes appearance fees before seeing some of these investors. And Mr. Gideon Boahen said that was not true. And so that's probably where they found out about this study by the way. No, I'm just reading the transcript that came out yesterday.
Vice president doesn't take appearance.
Do you take appearance fee when people come on your show?
No, I don't.
Exactly.
But I'm not the vice president, and I don't know. No allegation has been made against me.
Or I should ask your spokesperson.
No allegation has been made against me.
I should ask your spokesperson.
I don't have a spokesperson, but the
Okay.
vice president does have a spokesperson, and the spokesperson spoke.
And so I am saying that all these things is much about nothing because, look, what it exposes is that our presidency has been reduced to an extortion institution. And that anybody who wants to get closer to even project an idea before the president, you have to pay money. And the office of the vice president, we are told, they would need 200,000 in order to do that. Aside, if you want to sit by close to the president as a businessman so that you can whisper to the president that this is my business, you need to support it. Paying 100,000, there are many things that have gone on. And when we say President Akufo-Addo has led his marriage to a second wife called corruption, people don't understand. This is testament that the second wife of President Akufo-Addo is called corruption. And I am very disappointed that after MPs have called, not just any ordinary MPs, MPs of the ruling party, said that no, these people and their actions at the Ministry of Finance is part and greater proportion of the problems that we have in this country. You have left them an announced expose. In less than 2 hours, you had to fire the same person. Now that the man has been fired, and your reason for not yielding to your MPs is that they should be allowed to go and conclude the IMF negotiations. But you have fired the man before the IMF negotiations can be concluded. Will that affect the IMF negotiations? Will that affect the crafting of the 2023 budget statement? I thought that they were such indispensable that without them at the Ministry of Finance, nothing can happen. So I think that it is a message, President Akufo-Addo, that nobody will occupy any office forever. And when the actions of some people in your government are leading the entire nation to this abyss, and they call on you, stop being arrogant.
Okay.
Stop being pompous.
Okay.
Submit yourself to the will of the people and say, look, I have listened to you. Let's see how this will pan out. Unfortunately, I am disappointed. I'm very disappointed. But of course, where I sit with some sympathies towards the vice president.
You have some sympathies towards him?
Yes. I think that all this may be to do him in. As long as he wants to become flag bearer of the new patriotic party, and he is seen as just a recent comer. When did he come so that he will come and lead a new patriotic party?
So you think some people are behind this?
So all these things, you cannot take away these theories that the vice president is suffering because he is seen to be leap jumping.
Kofi, do you think so? That this could be some,
Well, I'm not going to wade into that.
Obviously
argument.
not.
I'm not interested.
Why so? Because you don't believe it?
No, because it's
Or
not.
because you're
it's
running
not
away
the
from talking
subject
about
of,
it?
It's not the subject of discussion. When it gets to who becomes the leader of the MPP, the people and the party members will decide.
But does this not taint his image?
What taints his image?
This expose and the fact that his name has been mentioned. Because the question that people are asking is, why was the former minister so bold enough to admit that you have to pay this amount of money to see the vice president? Does it mean that it's something that has been happening?
No, it doesn't.
Within the presidency all this while?
It doesn't mean anything. Influence peddling is something that is not new in this country. People do that. People peddle influence for so many reasons. I mean, anyone who's been following our politics knows this. This is not the first time this is happening.
Within the presidency?
Yes, under this government. I mean, anyone who has a shred of objectivity in them will admit that influence peddling is something that is homestay in our politics.
And it's okay?
I'm not saying it's okay. I've never said that. I'm simply letting you know that this is not new. And this does not in any way taint the image of the vice president. Edwigi tried as much as possible to make the whole issue about the vice president. My good friend Edwigi is a lawyer. And he knows that what transpired in the video will not stand the test of time in any court of law.
How so?
Why?
Judges
How
have been,
so?
judges
Lawyer,
have been
hold on. You let him. I'll let you
because
come
of
in to
similar
respond.
video. Or-
Hold on.
No. Judges were dismissed, seen collecting. What are you saying?
So this one,
No,
Bamia
please,
didn't
please.
collect.
Hold on,
please.
please.
Okay,
Lawyer.
Please.
Go ahead.
Don't equate things that are not equal. Judges were seen collecting items. Was Baumia seen in the video?
But his name was mentioned.
And so what? I can mention your name for anything. And so what? I've been here. I've taken pictures with you. I'm on the show with you. I can easily go out there and peddle falsehood as if I know you. Would that amount to you giving me the permission to do that?
But this is a separate case. This is
How is
the
it a
Minister
separate
of
case?
State in charge of Finance. We're
Okay.
told that he has a very good relationship with the Vice President.
Who said he has a very
Does
good
he not?
He has a working relationship
So
with
he
the Vice
doesn't have a
President.
personal relationship
No, he
with the Vice
doesn't
President?
Yesterday, Gideon Boakun was
He
on.
doesn't?
Please. Yesterday, Gideon Boakun was on air. And he made it clear that they know each other, but their relationship is a professional relationship. In any case, let's not even make this about whether he knows him or not, because that's it's public knowledge. The
That they are
vice
good
president,
friends.
that is public knowledge that they are professional colleagues. Before 2020, did you know if the minister was friends with Dr. Baumia? I, for example, know Dr. Baumia through politics.
Okay.
Does that necessarily mean that I'm good friends with Dr. Baumia?
So you're saying for a fact that he's not good friends?
I'm
Okay.
saying that
Understood.
they are colleagues.
Why then was
and they
he
know each
so
other.
comfortable to say in that meeting that you need to pay this amount to the Vice President if you want to meet him? And in fact went ahead to say that you have to pay some extra amount to his brothers, about 5 of them, if you want the
These are
contract to be
personal
facilitated.
details.
On what basis would he say that?
First of all, people can say anything they want to say. People can say anything they want to say. That doesn't make it a fact. For example, Martin Amidu came out and said President Mills wanted to investigate President Mahama. And that President Mahama was involved in corruption when it relates to the Embraer 190. Does that make President Mahama culpable?
Did you make the same argument when
No,
that
it's not
statement
about
was
what
made?
argument I made
No, I'm
before
just
or not.
asking that because-
No, I'm simply, why? Didn't Edwigi? Edwigi is here making this argument. Did he make the same argument when the
Did you make
Embraer
that
story
excuse
No,
when it
did
came out?
Edwigi make the same argument when the Embraer came up? When Kanozi came up, the Burkinabe guy came up, and Manasseh wrote a story on him. Did Edwigi make the same story?
Did you make that same statement?
I didn't
John
make
Mahama
any
asking about the
subjected
evidence,
himself
because then-
to an investigation.
Then everybody
Let Bamia
jumped on the
subject
corruption
himself to an
bandwagon and
investigation.
said that former
Subjected who?
President Mahama was
Mahama
corrupt.
subject to what?
Mahama appeared before Sraj. His lawyers,
Lawyer,
Tony Lita,
please
went
hold on.
there
Why
and
are you-
defended
why are
him.
you so-
No,
why are you so
I
And by
am
the
saying
way-
that.
Why are you so
Hold on,
deep?
lawyer,
Bamia
please,
subject
please.
himself
Why are you
to
so
the
deep?
OSP. Period.
Subject
Okay, we're
himself to
hoping
what?
Professor Gachi-
To the special
On what
prosecutor.
basis?
Speak to us. We'll try and
On what
reconnect to
basis?
Professor Gachi, but carry on.
This argument
I
is
would
bogus.
encourage Bamia to go to the
Lawyer,
office of the
lawyer,
special
hold on.
prosecutor and give a statement.
Please hold on. Please.
Would
allow
you
Kofi-
encourage him to do that?
Allow Kofi to speak. Make a
So
point.
now it is okay for someone to just say anything about you without any shred of evidence, none whatsoever. And on the basis of it, we should hang you.
This is not just somebody, Kofi.
Yeah.
Kofi.
This is a whole Minister of State in charge of finance.
Okay.
He's on the economic management team with the Vice President, is he not? Is
he
not?
He attends economic management team
So
when the finance minister isn't there.
Absolutely.
Yes, but then
And
for
listen,
him
listen,
to
please,
actually make
please,
this statement
please, let
to
me-
international
please,
investors
please.
or supposed international
At the
investors.
time,
The
at the
burdens
time,
of the
you
vice
see,
president and
please,
who needs to be sorted
oh
out.
my God.
Hold on, please. Yeah.
Now I'm
Carry on,
debating
Kofi.
3 people. Please, let me talk.
Kofi, speak.
You, when I was
Kofi is
talking,
okay, Kofi is
see,
okay.
when, what's his name? The minister made the comment. He was not at EMC, for example. He was a deputy minister. This is 2018. The bottom line is that Dr. Boahen, all the attempt by people to create the impression that Dr. Boahen is corrupt will not stand.
Okay.
Look, if somebody accuses a person as far back as 2018, and that is what is transpiring, are you saying that for 4 years, nothing has come up? If that is what's happening at the vice presidency, that he's taking money.
But how would we know?
This
And
is a
again, this is an investigation that was conducted, and so clearly, I guess the business did not go through because they were hoping to record.
Look, let me state for emphasis, you know, before I even delve into this issue proper. Anas, for example, I've worked with Anas before, as far back as 2016. Anas is not somebody who will protect anybody, for example. So if he had any evidence to suggest that what the minister was saying was true, he will not shield Dr. Boahen. Look, the bottom line is that Dr. Boahen is as clean as a whistle.
He is.
And the attempt by people to make this some way, somehow, a means of tainting his image is not going to wash. Look, people went to see the video. And I've seen commentary. People who have criticized this government publicly have gone to see the video and said, no, this is not enough to attach the vice president to anything. If you give me permission, I'll find some of the commentary and read to you. People who have publicly criticized and condemned this government. I have seen even NDC people saying that, no, this is not enough.
Okay.
To do what?
It's not enough
To do what?
to taint the vice president.
Please,
Okay.
name one
But-
NDC person. You name it, just for the record.
Hold on.
I don't know why GT.
Hold on. Do you have it, by the way,
Just for the
Kofi?
record.
Because you were saying that if I allow you, if I allow you, you could
Just
read
for
it.
the
when
record.
I
Do you
get
have
to the
them?
next time, I will look for them and I'll
Okay.
read them.
Okay.
The bottom line is that people who have gone to see the video feel that this is not enough to hang anybody.
When did this come to the attention of the president?
I don't know.
You have no
I
idea?
have no idea about it.
Is it true that the former minister had tried to resign sometime in October this year?
Who said
And the
that?
president had refused. Let's put up that tweet by Honorable Sam Okujeto Ablakwa. He had put out a statement on Twitter.
Okujeto
has
indicating-
never been
Oh,
denied.
please.
Hold on.
Oh, my God.
Hold
No,
on.
you are
If we can just
dismissing him.
project that statement or that tweet that was put up by the
Do you
MP,
think this government is there to respond to
where he
anything
said that
That's a
the
serious
minister
matter,
had
that your
attempted
president
to
had
resign, but the
refused
president
a
had
resignation.
rejected that. Producer,
If
you
it's
can
not
please,
true,
kindly
you deny he
project
would have
that
issued
for
a
us.
statement.
Okay, so
Listen.
this is the statement that he put out, and it was on the 27th of October 2022. Parliament may have to turn the heat on President Akufo-Addo. Why is he refusing to accept the resignation of Minister of State at the Ministry of
repeated it on May
Finance, Charles Edu Boahen? The president continues to downplay the profound economic crisis created by his abysmal leadership.
Why did Boahen want to resign, according to Okujeto Ablakwa?
Well, I wouldn't know that, but he says
so
that
let's
he had
find
attempted.
out. No, let's find out from
But
him.
you never
But-
denied
but-
it.
No, let's find out
But
from
did
him.
you come out to respond
No,
to this at
no.
all?
We don't have to respond to anything Okujeto says. We don't have to respond to everything
Only on
Okujeto says.
presidential travels.
Why do we have to first of all, why do we have to respond to everything Okujeto says? Is it everything that people say about President Mahama, President Akufo-Addo, Dr. Boahen, Professor Nana Opoku? Is it everything that people say about
So is it
them?
untrue
Is it
that he
trivial?
attempted?
What's
to
untrue?
resign? Is it untrue?
If Okujeto has the evidence, he should bring the evidence.
No, but I'm asking you that
No,
at
I'm
this
saying
point,
that
is it
what
untrue that he tried
matters
to
and what is
resign
important,
and the president refused?
No, what matters and what is important is that his job has been terminated. What makes his comment relevant? What will make it relevant is the reason why he wanted to resign.
He didn't provide the reason he wanted to resign. Why should I give anything credence? Why should I give this tweet credence?
No, but was there ever a point?
No, my point is, what is the
where
basis
the
for
said
this tweet?
minister had
What is the
attempted
basis
to
for
resign?
No, Bella. See,
You are
when we-
refusing to answer
no,
that.
No.
Because then even
There's a
if
basis
this
for what?
statement was made, even if the statement
Yeah.
was made, you should come and tell us that it is untrue, because there was never a time
Yes.
where the minister actually forwarded a resignation letter to the president.
First of all,
is that true or
question
not?
to you is, what makes Okudjeto's post relevant? What will make it relevant is the reason why the minister wanted to resign. Do we know the reason why the minister wanted to resign?
So we need to know the reason before you can tell us if it was true or not.
To establish whether it's even related to this issue.
Well, now he has been relieved of his post.
Yes, so
now,
that's what is important.
The
So
concern
why-
has
why do we
been
bring up
that
Okudjeto's post?
when the 80 majority MPs came out and said, we want the finance minister gone because
Yeah.
we do not want to do business with him, we're not happy with the way he has run the economy. After that meeting with the president, they came out and said that the president says he will not let him go yet because he has to allow, or they have to allow him to handle the IMF negotiations and come and read the budget before a decision is made on that. Now, the majority MPs had also asked for the head of Boahen. Okay. And clearly that means that he was also not going until all those deals are done. Okay. But now that he has been relieved of his duty, IMF negotiations have not stopped, have they?
Bella, are we discussing, I think you are throwing so many issues at me.
How am I doing that?
Because we are discussing a particular issue. Why a person has resigned and all of that. Now you are taking me into Okudjeto's tweets. Now you are taking me.
But I asked you that because we're talking about him. We've talked about it. Now I'm asking you. Now I'm asking as well that now that he's gone, does it affect the IMF negotiations in any way?
The person who's responsible for the IMF negotiation is the finance minister. The finance minister is still at post and doing the negotiation.
But with support from the Minister
of course,
State
it doesn't
in charge of
mean
finance.
that he can't do the job. He's doing it. The finance minister is doing what he's supposed to do.
To your MPs.
The finance minister is doing what he's supposed to do. Okay. So why do we bring up...
We're bringing it up because then the question is, if that's the case, then the finance minister should be able to be relieved of his duties as well and allow other people to still run the negotiations,
what I want to focus on is the issue at hand. The issue at hand has to do with a commentary someone made, which has led to his termination.
We have completed that, haven't we? Which is why I'm asking you this question now.
Okay. So my point is, the finance minister is doing what he's supposed to do. If the president in his wisdom feels that the finance minister needs to let go his position and for someone to take over, he will do that.
Does the termination of the office of the finance minister in charge of the state, of course, does that affect the IMF negotiation at this point? Which is what I'm asking.
No, but I've already answered that. And I've answered by saying that it is the finance minister who is the primary person responsible for it.
But
he's
Charles
doing it
Boahen
fine.
was also part of the team negotiating.
But if he's supporting it, it doesn't mean his absence, without him, we can't do it.
So without the finance minister, we cannot go ahead with the negotiations. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying that the finance minister is leading the negotiation. Without Boahen, the negotiation can go on. So why has that got to do with the finance minister?
No, but that's what I'm asking you. That if the president was quick enough to relieve him of his post as Minister of State in charge of the finance ministry, at a time when we've been told that these are the people who are spearheading the IMF negotiations, and so we cannot let them go, especially the finance minister, because he's the one spearheading it. He has to complete that, read the budgets, and then we'll know what to do moving forward. Charles Boahen was one of the people who was being asked to be relieved of his duty as well.
Yeah,
and he was still at post.
Bella, I've already answered it. I said the finance minister is doing the job.
Okay.
I've already answered that.
Lawyer,
so
please
many
come in
times.
for me.
He's
and we're
already
trying to
doing the
reach
job.
Professor Gachi to find out how this also
I didn't even get to even make my own
how
point.
this also, I'll let you make your points, don't worry. How this also
points.
impacts the IMF deal with regards to the sacking of the Minister of State in charge of Finance. Lawyer.
You see, so to dovetail into the IMF negotiation, first of all, we're having serious challenges with the IMF negotiation. You know, as we speak, we've not even been able to agree on a staff level agreement, even within the African region. Because you see, on this IMF negotiation, you first start with the African conversation, get a staff-level agreement. That the staff-level agreement is now moved to Washington, where you because the fund, it had board of directors more or less. So you need to give them the staff-level agreement to all of them. They will now make notes or comments. They now prepare a proper agreement, which agreement will be submitted to the board. And then the board members will give approval or disapproval. As we speak, we have not even agreed on the basic staff level agreement yet. Because, first of all, we have now gone to contract about 4 consulting companies to now help us in coming out with a debt restructuring strategy. Look, we are nowhere near. For the first time, you are hearing that we're unable to read the budget statement in November.
Yeah.
A lot of businesses are waiting to hear what the budget will be.
But we're told the final week of November is when we'll read the budget.
Look, as we speak, I've listened to the Chairman Sabonso so make the point that the idea that they may be able to put a budget together this November is looking not possible. You know why? Because you need to factor the question of debt structuring or restructuring, at least to know how much of your tax revenue you'll be using to service those debts. If you have not agreed on possible haircuts and what have you, where would you want to conclude your budget statement for 2023?
Okay. I'll let you hold on.
Okay.
I'll let you hold on. We've had Professor Gachi on the line for quite a while. Good morning, sir, and thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right. So we're just having a conversation about the sacking of the Minister of State in charge of Finance, Mr. Boahen, and the fact that at this point we're told that negotiations, of course, are ongoing. And the reason why the Finance Minister was not let go per the meeting that the President had with the majority in Parliament was because he says he would like that the Minister completes the negotiations and, of course, reads the budget. Now, the question many are asking is, if he could not relieve them of their duty, and at this point, the Minister of State in charge of Finance has been relieved of his duties at a time when they're still negotiating, does that affect the deal in any way, or what impact would it have on the deal?
Thank you. Well, I think the President didn't take that decision because he was influenced by any governance principle in our country. There's no law that says that the President should act in that manner. It is his own convention. The point is that nobody is indispensable, not even the President himself. I think we had experience in this country, I think in 2012, when our President passed. Within 6 hours, we got replacement and the running of the business of this country continued. So to create the impression that some group of people are indispensable and they must achieve a set target for the President before they accede to the call of the generality of Ghanaians is inappropriate and should not be encouraged. I do not think, based on what I said, even if the finance minister is supposed to be asked to resign today, I do not think that will have any serious implication for the IMF engagement. It is a teamwork, and we have technical people doing the real work, and the finance minister is leading to present what has been put on paper by the technical people. What is the wish of the government is known to the team. So anybody at all who is competent and appointed today can lead the effort and continue with any negotiation with the IMF. Nobody is indispensable.
Okay. So on that note, then that means that the finance minister could have been let go of his position then, and things would have still been running as expected.
That's exactly so.
Okay.
So that is what I said, that the decision by the President is not guided by any known law in Ghana. It is his conviction. That is what he thinks he wants to do. But as I said, nobody is indispensable. And we need to get to a point where we don't create the impression that some people are so valuable that even when they are accused of serious happenings such as conflict of interest and lack of trust in their continuous stay in office, as expressed by the sum of the majority parliamentarians. If you get to that point, I think that you need to accede to the wish of the people to bring some trust to government and that ministry. It doesn't mean that those people are so bad that they are no more Ghanaians. It only means that we have gotten to a point that Ghanaians don't think that they are needed in running the affairs of the ministry.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for speaking to us this morning, Professor John Gachi. He's the Dean of the School of Business at the University of Cape Coast. Lawyer, you were speaking.
Yeah,
Please
so I was just saying that as we speak, we are even having difficulty reaching a staff-level agreement, let alone to get something before the board of the IMF to conclude. And this has come about because of the arrogant posturing of government. I make this point repeatedly, that we have a perfect opportunity there to have started an IMF negotiation in January. But as of January, if you recall, the minister, Ken Oforiatta, was thinking that you will have the opportunity to go to the bond market again. Then in February, if you recall, the first downgrade happened. Then the Russia-Ukraine war started. Yeah. Now, because we didn't have access to the bond market, because by 17th November 2021, Ken Oforiatta had already projected that this year he was going to borrow 37 billion Ghana cedis in order to balance the budget. And the bulk of this he was going to do through bonds. But once the investor community became aware of the downgrades, it did not give us the opportunity. That market shut. Then the question of e-levy. By April, we're hoping that we'll get 6-point-something billion from e-levy. Also, in a very spectacular manner, it didn't happen. So the point ought to be made that when, as a result of policies, okay, you fail in economic management, what you do is to demonstrate humility and not arrogantly parrot global exogenous factors are the reason why we are where we are. But do you know that Ghana had a fine opportunity to join the debt service suspension initiative? But our finance minister and the president decided that they will not do that. And do you know why? By joining the debt service initiative, which is the DSSI, it was going to place a limit on how much you can borrow. Our finance minister and Charles Boahen were making significant monies by way of commission payment from how much you were borrowing. And so, over $5 billion that was available under the DSSI, we never approached it because of the personal interest of our finance minister. Look, we have always
Because
said,
of the personal interest of the finance minister?
Yes.
How do you say that?
You know what? Anytime he borrows, like I pointed out, he was making money, both domestic and external. And there's no, you cannot controvert this fact that within the space of 6 years, Mr. Ken Oforiatta had borrowed in excess of $11 billion in Eurobond alone. If you add the 2017 Franklin Templeton 2.25, that would amount to $13 billion of bonds, external. Now, when you come to domestic, you cannot even count. Come to think of how much Bank of Ghana alone had given by way of overdraft to this government. We are in a mess by reason of policy choices. It is not Russia-Ukraine. And you see what exposed the MPP narrative on Russia-Ukraine. You know what exposed them?
What?
All this while, they have said that our problem is because of Russia-Ukraine, including the MPP MPs. Correct. Then one morning, we woke up to see a press conference. Now they say that it is no longer Russia-Ukraine, but Ken Oforiatta, and therefore he ought to be sacked. How in God's name is Ken Oforiatta the one who started the Russia-Ukraine war? So I am saying that MPP, all you need to do is to just give them a little time. And then you can expose the fact that, one, they don't love Ghana. Two, everything they do is about their personal interest.
If they don't love Ghana, why are they asking for the finance minister to step down?
Because at that time, the NPP MPs, they have been starved of the MPs' allocations, NHIS and others. And immediately...
And that's why they came out?
Ken Ofori-Atta gave them the 2 quarters. Their front is now divided. Look, you see, let nobody mistake this. These are the realities. The question had been asked, where did Ken Ofori-Atta suddenly get the money to pay the first and second quarter? Where did he get the money? These are the reality.
Where did he get the money? Do you know?
Bank of Ghana is giving them overdrafts. It has never happened before. The level of overdraft given by this administration by Bank of Ghana is in excess of 30 billion Ghana cedis. That was why the minority said that Bank of Ghana is technically printing money. That is what they are doing now.
Okay. And those
That is what they are doing.
Of
No,
course,
it's
Kofi
not
is here.
allegation.
Kofi is here. We'll let him
The
respond to
question
it
of
because
overdraft to this administration by Bank of Ghana is no longer a question of allegation. In fact, the Bank of Ghana's latest release, they expressed worry as to how much they are giving and that they think that they need to have a meeting with the executive to agree as to what limit to place on it.
Okay.
This thing has never happened before.
Okay, well, we'll hear from our other guests in the studios shortly, but we have to take a break at this point. This is a big issue on TV3 New Day. We'll be back with more.